let's lighten the mood up a bit.
Tá. Espero que seja suficiente. Alright, first I must explain what this series is and isn't about. This series isn't a guide on how to conduct night operations. See Cyclonic's Way of the Shadow for that. Now what this is. This series is a collection of movements you may use in night ops. I basically took the simpler, most common moves from stealth video game characters and made them as functional as possible in real life. Now, who am I? What are my qualifications, you may be wondering? Well, I've never been in the military, nor have I ever had any formal ninjutsu training. I'm just some guy with way too much time in his hands. Okay, so you may be wondering, why train this, right? Well, at the end of the day, only you can answer that question. I do it because I think it's fun. But you may do it for other reasons. Maybe you want to play airsoft in an extremely unconventional and specialized way. Maybe you are some sort of prepper that wants another skill set for your survival toolbox. Maybe you are short on money, but you still want to train something that's sort of like a martial art. Well, this has zero tutelage cost. And with some exceptions, you probably already own some of the gear you may need to train this. Again, only you can answer this. It's now time to talk about the training program itself. The training program is divided into several groups of techniques with similar themes. Each group may have its own episode that may or may not be out by the time you're watching this. If it's not, you can probably just go to nightops.net and look up my blog posting thread. It has the text versions that are probably already very similar to what these episodes are going to be. You know, just in case you can't wait or something. There's also an absurd amount of content related to night operations in stealth there. So maybe take a look at the rest of the forum as well. The episodes have no fixed structure. We can begin or end talking about required equipment. Whatever fits the flow better. There are also some things you may notice while watching a good portion of the recordings. If I seem tired, pained and annoyed, if the techniques don't seem to be getting performed at the highest possible standard, all those observations are correct. I was told we were going to have to move houses in a few days, so I had to thug it out and record everything as quickly as possible, despite being sick and tired and recovering from a leg day at the gym. I mean, I'm still doing it like this, right? I have just a few minutes to record, and I'm using a bag and a chair as a support for that camera. And it's not even a camera, it's my phone. This was supposed to be way better. I was supposed to switch goofy images on the screen, but I just don't have time. I just want to put this episode out very quickly. It is what it is. You just gotta figure it out. Now, when I began training this, I would focus entire weeks on a single technique group. The reason for that is because I would have to develop nearly everything from zero or almost zero. And for that reason, I wanted to dedicate 100% of my brain power towards thinking about a very narrow set of subjects. This is probably not optimal for you, however, as all you have to do is learn. Maybe adapt a thing or two, as everyone has different anatomy, and what works for some may not work well for others. So very little is fixed. But other than that, all you really have to do is learn. With that said, here's how I would do it if I were you, if I were learning from someone else, me, right now. This training routine example is made thinking of someone who has about an hour to put into this every day. It takes into account the possibility that the trainee may not have the required facilities for each technique group all in one place and may have to travel to different areas to train. So it tries to keep the amount of groups limited, while also making use of groups that are simple or can be taken around to fill gaps. It also keeps in mind that the trainee may find it boring to do the same thing for too long, so it tries to change to different groups to maintain focus. Now, this is just an example. You may have more or less time to put into this. In that case, you'll have to learn to adapt. Being able to adapt is a critical opping skill. However, there is one thing you should absolutely not change, and that is the spacing between crouch intensive technique groups. I have incurred chronic knee pain from overdoing crouching related stuff. I have been doing some exercises to strengthen my knees, and they hurt a little less now, but I really doubt it will ever be the same again. Always keep at least one day of rest between the days you do crouch intensive stuff. And on the days you do crouch intensive stuff, only do it for at most 15 minutes a day. You do not want to overdo it, dog. You really do not. Listen, dog. It won't matter if you have a perfect crouch walking technique if you can't perform it for more than 5 seconds because you have just an unbearable pain on your knees. And not only that, that pain on your knees will affect a bunch of other stuff in your life. You won't like to go up and out of chairs. I mean, you probably don't do it by default, right? Because you're lazy. Everyone kind of is lazy. Oh, I just sat down. I don't want to get up. Yeah, that's already kind of bad, but just the thought, oh, if I get up, my knees are gonna hurt. You just don't want to have that in your life. You really don't. So, respect your knees, respect your body, don't overdo it, don't get chronic knee pain.
Additionally, and I completely forgot to put this on the script, so I'm adding it in post now. This series is very obviously inspired by another series that is basically the exact same thing done by another guy, but this guy just privated or deleted all of his videos, so they're gone now. I'm not gonna say who this guy is because, well, if he just deleted all his stuff, he probably doesn't want to be found, so I'll just respect that. I'm just saying this to acknowledge that I'm basically just taking the exact same thing he did and just doing it again, because someone has to, right? If he's gone, someone has to pick up the torch and just keep going. So this is what this is, basically.
Now, with all that being said, without further ado, we can actually begin the training program itself. We'll begin with the basis of everything, right? Stealth walking.